Good
People look.
morning, good evening, and good afternoon to our global audience. I'm your host, Elishba Nan, working as the Advocacy and Outreach Ambassador at Janai, selected under the Global Ambassadorship Program of 2025 to 2026. From space to AI to climate change, this is where inspiration meets innovation. Welcome to the Janai. It is truly an honor to welcome a distinguished leader, visionary policymaker, and respected voice for democratic development and social justice, Senator Sanaullah Baloch. Senator Baloch has remarkable contributions at both international and national levels. His expertise extends far beyond Pakistan, having served as senior and technical advisor at Somalia and Sierra Leone constitutional review processes from 2011 to 2017. In Pakistan, Senator Baloch consistently championed the right and development of Balochistan, raises the critical issues of poverty, security, illiteracy, unemployment, and health issues in Assembly. Please welcome Senator Sanaullah Baloch, sir. It's truly a privilege to having you with us today.
Thank you very much, Lishba, for having me.
Okay, sir. Welcome once again. Let's start our fireside chat. To start off, could you please share what initially inspired you to enter public service and politics?
Lishba, mostly politics in Pakistan has been a very interesting area. While I was a student during my college and UC times, I was proactively engaged and involved in a student politics. I was part and parcel of the different university programs, particularly literary programs and debates. In addition to that, because I had a lot of interest in politics, I come from a region where people have a lot of political consciousness and they're very much inclined towards constructive and progressive political ideas. So I was part and parcel of Baloch Students Organization during college time, university time, and later on, gradually, I became part of the leadership uh, phase of the organization. And from there, immediately when I did my graduation in engineering, so there was an opportunity for me within the party, Baloch National Party and the BSO, to become member National Assembly. So I was elected as the youngest member of National Assembly in 1997. So onward till 90, from 97 to 2000. So I've been involved in politics, and my area of interest has always been constitutionalism, legislative development, the legal side of the politics. Uh, More importantly, as you mentioned in your introduction, I had a great interest to highlight Balochistan's economic, social challenges because these challenges haven't been highlighted in a very factual way. So my idea was to do some kind of a research. You can see the books and the uh, publications around me in my library. So most of them are from even from my young age. I have been collecting different books and data to highlight Balochistan development challenges, economic challenges, social challenges, to create that kind of awareness and advocacy among the policymakers to understand Balochistan challenges critically. So still, that's my objective. That's my aim. That's a kind of a part and parcel of my overall enthusiasm, and that and I'm still working as a political activist, as a political leader, and a researcher, and to highlight Balochistan challenges. More importantly, the overall Pakistan issues as well, but they are connected with with Balochistan. So this is my brief political, what they call it, a journey.
Impressive, sir. I also want to join politics in future if I could.
You're welcome.
Okay, next question. Were there particular challenges in ensuring inclusivity and democracy in those constitutional processes?
Well, inclusivity in the constitutional process is an important element because the constitution is not for one segment of society, for one area, for one constituency. constituency or for one province. In any society, and more importantly, like a society like we are living in Pakistan or operating in Pakistan in the political sphere, the multicultural, multi-ethnic, multilinguistic, and the diverse societies need to have a very inclusive approach towards constitutional making. The inclusivity means that you have to engage the entire populace in the process. More importantly, the modern constitution making process involves women participation, youth participation, participation of communities that are disadvantaged, and traders, farmers, fishermen, miners, whatever in society we have active segments. All these segments need to be consulted, and they have to be brought in the fora to have a discussion, an agreement, and consensus. Because the constitution itself, a country cannot have a constitution if they lack consensus on certain issues, because constitution is going to rule to enhance the framework of our lifestyle, our social behaviors, our political approaches. So for that kind of a society, we need to have inclusivity and consensus building. So inclusivity is one of the very important aspect and factor of the constitution making.
Sure, sir. Okay. The next question is, how do you view the connection between constitution making and long-term peace or nation building in fragile states?
Well, modern constitutional making processes evolved mostly around conflicts, because we have this evidences in Africa. Most of the African constitutional making processes started after the peace negotiations or the peace agreements or the peace deals, because around that peace agreements and the peace deals, most of these constitutions have been designed, because different ethnic groups, different regions, different people have been fighting was different issues. Like power sharing is one of the most important factor in the constitution. In addition to that, economic aspect of resource distribution. In addition to that, human rights, women rights, rights for minorities, for ethnic groups, for marginalized communities. So until unless the constitutional makers or the constitutional framers or the constitutional engineers or the constitutional designers are not considering all these basic aspects, those have been uh, igniting the conflicts. So until unless that very important drivers of the conflicts are not addressed in the constitution, we cannot have a long lasting constitution. So most of the countries, even in Pakistan, the 1973 constitution was um created, or what they call it, drafted or agreed upon after the debacle of East Pakistan. In 1970-71, we lost East Pakistan. So the rest of the provinces, they came together to have a discussion and dialogue to come up with a very refined mechanisms of power sharing, economic model, in addition to that financial model, fiscal federalism in the constitution, along with creating institution to have a proper representation of each and every segment of the society. Like we, in 1973 constitution, we established the Senate of Pakistan to have equal representation for our provinces. And the idea was to empower the Senate of Pakistan to address the challenges that are maybe somehow going to be ignored in the National Assembly, which is constituted, which is constructed, which is designed based on the population. But the Senate is based on the equal representation. So the peace major factor in the constitutional making process, and definitely that's going to continue to be one of the major factor around the constitution making processes.
Sure, sir. Sir, in my opinion, to implement the constitutions and rules and regulation in a country, it must be important to make the peace in the country. If there is no peace, people are not in the state that they are listening to the government, so it's difficult for us to imply the rules and regulation and constitution in the country.
Well, you have to look at other way around. If constitution is truly implemented with its essence, with its true spirit, in that societies, you will have a lasting peace. You will not have a very disturbed society, because constitutional guarantees different rights to the society, to the different communities, to different people, like as I mentioned, groups, that they are vulnerable in that country, in that structure. So the constitution basic objective is to give each and every person a security, sense of security, security in terms of human security, financial security, security to provide him all the basic necessities in the life. Like we, in our constitution, we have different articles, different sections that guarantees health, education, decent living standards, human rights being treated equally in the country. So if constitution is employed, applied, and properly, what they call it, implemented in the society, you will have less chaos, you will have less conflicts, you will have less confrontation. So therefore it's important to implement to constitution. You will have less peace. It's not other way around, to have peace first, and then employ or implement the constitution later. So the constitution provides the cover, provides the opportunity, provides the basis to have a comfortable society in any country.
Agree, sir. Moving next, looking back at your journey, what have been some defining moments that shaped your vision for Balochistan and Pakistan?
That shaped my
Vision for Balochistan and Pakistan.
there's been like, since, as I mentioned, when I started my early career in politics, I was a book lover. I used to read a lot, and I came across a lot of information, data, uh, that certain regions are lagging behind. Like Balochistan is lagging behind in education, in health, infrastructure, energy provisions, employment, proper participation and representation in the national, what they call it, institution. So that was one of the major driver that inspired me, that has gave me this, what they call it, courage to continue my political activism, my political activities, my political approach in Pakistan, and more importantly in the Parliament of Pakistan. Because mostly political leaders are considered less educated, political leaders are considered less information. So the technocrats, bureaucrats, and most of the other segments of society, they are mostly trying to rule the political institutions as well through their different unique skills, and that's the like they are more well educated, they speak very good English. That was one of the aspiration, that to continue my politics, and along with the basis that should help the people of Pakistan, people of Balochistan, to have harmony. And harmony can only be introduced and bring in a society when we have equality. When you have equality in every sphere of the life, the people are provided equal opportunity in employment, in education, in health, in infrastructure. So that's my one of the objective, that each and every region should have equal opportunity in terms of development, and that's not limited to a certain development. That's involve development in all aspects of our life.
Great, sir. Okay, moving next, Balochistan faces multiple interlinked challenges from health crisis to social underdevelopment. What do you think the focus should be?
Balochistan, the development deficit, what we call it, so the development gap uh, between Balochistan and the rest of the provinces is huge. It's massive.
Yes.
So it's not limited to only education. It's not only limited to health. It's limited. It also involves employment, infrastructure, energy, industrialization, services. representation. So there are multiple areas where we can exactly feel it and see it that the Balochistan is lagging behind, and that's called development deficit. So if a province like our other provinces have a higher human development index as compared to Balochistan, and today I have just tweeted about it that Balochistan has the lowest human development index that is parallel, somehow comparable to CAR, African republics like Yemen, Guinea-Bissau, are some of the underdeveloped and poor countries. So if Balochistan is having that kind of a human development index, that's very poor. So I think that Balochistan to address Balochistan multiple challenges, as you mentioned. We need to have a comprehensive plan for Balochistan that should encompasses or include political plan, economic plan that has to address the development gap. Within next 10 and 15 years, we should have a plan to ensure that Balochistan is at par with the rest of the provinces. And these challenges and these gaps, what we have in the development sector, are slowly and gradually narrowed down. So it needs social, political, economic, and commitment from the federal government. Unless we don't have that commitment, the gap is going to be further widened. The crisis is going to be further exacerbated, and then the Balochistan will continue to suffer both socially, economically, politically, in terms of security.
Okay, sir, hoping for the best of your province. Inshallah, Balochistan will
Inshallah.
move forward. Inshallah. Okay, moving next. You played a key advisory role in the Somalia and Sierra Leone constitutional review processes. Can you tell us more about that experience and what lesson you took from it?
The first, I was part and parcel of the Somali constitution making that was in 2011. I was advising the public consultation process, as I mentioned earlier, because until and unless the public means the different segments of the society are not very well consulted in a constitutional making process, the constitution will lack legitimacy. The constitution process will lack ownership. And for any modern constitutional making process, it's very important that we need to have the legitimacy and the ownership of the general people and the public. Somalia is a very fragile state. Somalia has many security challenges. It is not easy, and it's next to impossible to have a physical consultation, to physically involve each and every segment of society. So I was asked to advise on the public consultation. I came up with one of the most modern approaches of public consultation. So through media, communication, engagement, through civil society, political parties, because Somalia is also a very tribal society. So I engaged the tribal communities as well. So I used multiple approaches to engage the people of Somalia in the constitution making process to ensure at least maximum engagement of the public in the consultation process. And I was very much successful. I developed over 10, 12 major reports that were outcome of the different consultation from the youth, from women, from civil society, political parties, tribal elites, religious elements and groups as well. So that was a very successful path. And then, luckily, within 1 year after the consultations, we were able to come up with a draft constitution of Somalia. In 2013, I joined Sierra Leone constitution making process as a chief technical advisor. Sierra Leone, as you are well aware, that Sierra Leone went through a lot of conflict and crisis. Over 500,000 people died in early 90s due to the blood diamond, and but the mostly because it's known for the blood diamond, for the diamonds, but there were like a fault lines within their political system, their administrative system. The constitution was not well structured or developed to address power gaps and the structure or power sharing fault lines. So after the peace agreement, the constitutional process started in early 2000s. Unfortunately, they were unable to come up with a draft constitution. So the different attempts have been made. So later, when I joined in 2013, I spent almost like a 3.5 year, and that is, I think, one of the most comprehensive constitution making process um we completed in most of the what they call it West African societies. I came up with uh, many reports, and the final draft was presented to the president of Sierra Leone. It was a very unique experience, and I hope that currently the Sierra Leone government has adopted most of the recommendations that we have developed in the constitution making process. So it was a very unique experience for me, working as a parliamentarian, working as a constitutional expert, um, in line with the other legislative expertise. I applied, or what they call it, used my expertise in West Africa. So it was a quite unique experience. Um, we were able to transfer some of our what they call it ideas to West Africa, and I was able to gain certain experiences and ideas from the countries those have gone through the conflict, and then they finally came up with a constitution, or the draft constitution, that is has been developed through consensus. So the consensus was a main objective both in a Somali aspect and in the Sierra Leone aspect.
Okay, sir. Moving forward, what role can education and youth empowerment play in transforming socioeconomic landscape of the province?
Well, youth engagement, youth participation, youth involvement is very critical for the socio-economic development, including peace and stability in that region. Balochistan has a unique demographic landscape where youth contributes almost 62% of our population. But unfortunately, the youth in Balochistan is not being provided the right opportunities in terms of education, skill development, or providing opportunities to have access to infrastructure or industry that allow the youth to exactly use their capacities and capabilities in developing their own society. So since last 30, 40 years, so the youth population has been increasing in Balochistan, but the opportunities for youth has been declining in terms of education, employment, socio-culture engagement, and economic development of their society. So that's why currently the youth is disgruntled. The youth in Balochistan is very much um what they call it, not politically, socially in line with the political parties' ideas. So the youth have taken up different path that's more violent in Balochistan to gain to access some certain of their rights. So therefore, I think more importantly in Balochistan context, as I mentioned earlier, Balochistan needs a very unique, different policy and planning to address Balochistan long-term challenges, including engagement and involvement of youth to bring peace and stability in the society.
Okay, sir. Sir, do you think that there is lack of awareness in Balochistan, or we should bring awareness campaigns for Balochistan youth?
The youth of Balochistan are well aware about their society, about their challenges, about their issues. Yes, there is a lack of awareness in Islamabad, within the policymakers, within the power elite, within the power corridors in Pakistan, where youth issues or the challenges of the people of Balochistan, including the people of Balochistan, are not being understood very well. So that is one of the major challenges. So you are absolutely right. We need to create awareness. We need to have an advocacy plan and drive uh, to try to convey the elite, the policymakers, the power brokers in Islamabad and rest of the Pakistan to understand Balochistan critical issues and to come up with a long-term sustainable plan rather than having a fancy short-term plans which are neither helping the people of Balochistan, neither helping Pakistan to have peace.
Okay, sir. Sir, how do you see the balance between development projects and preserving local culture and environmental sustainability?
It's very important. And if you go through the frequent experience of different conflicts, and if you exactly apply the same theory and same approach in Balochistan, so most of the conflicts are generated because the people sensitivities, the groups and communities cultural sensitivities have not been properly assessed or addressed in the development process. uh, During the CPEC process, the CPEC development initiative, the people of Balochistan were not consulted very well. There was not enough advocacy and education about the projects and their outcome and their benefits to the locals. When they have been questioned, people have raised their concerns. It's because the people's cultural sensitivities, socio-psychological sensitivities, political sensitivities have not been addressed. So I think this is one of my advice, what I have seen, what I've experienced in different parts of the world, that the cultural sensitivities of different community groups and different regions need to be properly assessed. As like we do the environmental assessment, we need to come up with a cultural, social, psychological assessment of that region when we come for in terms of a mega development or development projects.
Sure, sir. Okay. So you have represented Balochistan at multiple forums. What motivates you to keep advocating for your province despite so many challenges?
My motivation is what you asked, like because there is a lack of awareness within the power corridors, within the political elite in Pakistan, the policymakers, about Balochistan cultural, social, demographic challenges. So my mostly when I agree and I try to become part and parcel of any events, more like this year, this one of your event, is to create more awareness about Balochistan, to give a very sense of understanding rather than giving false hopes or maybe coming up with a false statement, false fantasy statement that everything is okay, to convey, to try to communicate, to try to transit or transmit that true picture of Balochistan to the power corridor, people sitting in the power corridors, that Balochistan is unique, it's different, and without understanding Balochistan, there won't be any long-term peace and sustainability. So that's the one of my motivation to become part of different forums, groups, and advocacy groups, and to represent Balochistan.
Okay, sir. So what do you think? How can Pakistan create more inclusive development models that ensure smaller provinces feel equally represented and benefits?
It's not difficult. We are living in 21st century, and more importantly, now the age of AI, artificial intelligence. We used to have a lot of ignorance about the different parts of Pakistan. There was less information, less knowledge about the different communities, cultures, societies, and their development landscape, their social landscape, their cultural landscape, their needs.